Now you can listen to Wine and Dine Radio while shopping at the grocery store or your neighborhood wine merchant. Wine and Dine Radio can be heard using your wireless internet on your cell phone. You're listening to iWineRadio. iWineRadio is a production of Food Tastes Better with Wine on the web at iWineRadio.com. Hey guys, I thank you for listening to iWineRadio, and we are still the only wine channel on iTunes Radio. If you go look under iTunes Radio icon and scroll down to News and Talk Directory, and it's listed alphabetically, click on that and the stream comes up immediately. iWineRadio.com, where you can find links to individual guests. And if anyone's interested in advertising or becoming an underwriter or sponsor, please contact us at iWineRadio.com. We really, really appreciate your support. The more support we get, the more conversations I can have with fascinating people around the world, including you. If you have a story to tell that you'd like to share on iWine Radio, go to iWineRadio.com and contact us, and we'll go from there.
Bonjour, my name is Olivier Magny. I'm the founder of Au Château, which is France's #1 wine school. And I'm here today to talk to you about my new book called Into Wine, An Invitation to Pleasure, which is fantastic and which you should definitely pick up if you have any form of interest in wine.
Today we get the pleasure of meeting Olivier Magny, a Frenchman who actually spends quite a bit of time in the United States. And the original purpose for the interview was to talk about the release of his newly published book, the first ever in English from him, called An Invitation to Pleasure Into Wine. Olivier Magny is the founder of France's #1 wine school. He is the founder of the acclaimed Paris wine tasting school and wine bar, Au Château. And over the years, he has taught wine to more than 50,000 wine lovers, ranging from novices to professionals. He's also the host of a wine travel TV show and the best-selling author of Stuff Parisians Like. I mean, there's so much going on with this man. It's amazing, and he's constantly traveling and teaching and guest lecturing. And he's joining us today from the Panhandle of Florida. Olivier, thank you so very much for joining us today on Wine and Dine. And you have been a sommelier for how many years? 15 years?
Yeah, a little over about 12 years now. It's a pleasure to be here, by the way. Thank you so very much to have me.
Well, when in your life did you decide that you wanted to become a sommelier or make wine the focus of your career? Where did you grow up in? Where in France?
Well, I grew up in Paris, so I didn't come from a wine family. I didn't come from a wine region, and I went through like your usual academic curriculum, and then I realized that this life was going to be really awful, the corporate life, and so I decided that I needed to do something for myself and follow what my heart was telling me. And my heart was telling me wine, and so I decided to just embrace this passion and to try to turn it into a job. And it was a very, very silly decision at the time, but I'm so glad I made it.
Silly, according to your parents?
Yes, who still somewhat think today it was a silly decision. My mom constantly still asks me, when are you getting a real job? She's very worried about her poor son.
But if you're paying your bills and you're having a blast and you're constantly meeting new people and you are traveling back and forth from Europe to the United States, it sounds like you're probably doing quite well.
Well, I'm having, what you say is very true. I'm having a good time. I love what I do. I think I'm doing something that is good. And so, that's why I persist against my parents' will.
Yes. I understand the concept of dream in a very, very big way. So now talk to us about your book, Into Wine.
Well, Into Wine is a book that I've been working on for 5 years now. And it evolved a great deal. The general idea is that I wanted to explore the idea of terroir that I'm sure your listeners are familiar with already, but which is something that a lot of, especially people in the U.S., struggle to get to the bottom of it.
Yes.
A lot of people think, oh, terroir, okay, that's the soil, that's what makes the wine. So I really wanted to go to the bottom of the idea. And basically, the more I dug, whichever direction it was in, whether it was looking to the soil, looking to the history, looking to the cultural implications, the more I discovered more and more and learned more and more. And all this turned out to be an absolutely fantastic journey that completely changed me. And so Into Wine is really sort of the account of this. So it's a wine where the reader is going to learn about wine a great deal, but he's also going to learn, I guess, from wine, what you learn when you learn about wine.
Do you find, or have you found about yourself and then observe with others, that as you learn more about wine, you learn more about yourself?
Fully. I think, life is a journey of self-discovery, and the great thing with wine is that it forces you to learn about things you would probably never have looked into if it wasn't for your passion for wine. And the more you realize this, the more knowledge you accumulate. The more you realize that what you thought you knew is not accurate. And so all the beliefs and the perceptions you've built upon this inaccurate knowledge basically needs to be updated and revamped based on the actual knowledge when you go to the source.
Yeah, that's in some ways it's somewhat frustrating, but with no matter what the profession, really in this day and age of the 21st century, you constantly have to be upgrading your skills and your knowledge to be competitive.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's really what it's about, yeah. And I'm in the business of wine education, if you will, and there's a lot of people that know a lot about wine, so I really have to stay on top of everything. And that covers not only knowing about the grapes and the year, you also need to have a very deep understanding, which is what I spent the last 10 years working on. And the book is just like trying to make that as easy to capture and digest as possible.
I love the way you have the book laid out. It's really laid out for the millennial reader, with all the sidebars and the double, almost like they're handwritten squares around words that you want to have set off. It's really a nice approach because, when people are picking up magazines these days, they don't want to be reading long articles. They want fast little blurts of information like texting, and that's almost the way you have a lot of it set up.
It's true, and it actually, my first book was called Stuff Parisians Like, and it was a series of articles about Parisians. It started as a blog, and I think what you say is very true. We just live in such a fast-paced world where people have very little attention, so you really need to get to the bottom of things very quickly, and boom, boom. So this idea of boxes of short article, you can write about wine for hours and hours and make an 800-page book. Yeah. I don't think it's what people want. I don't think it's, I want to keep people entertained, and I want to keep teaching them stuff. And it's really about finding that striking that fine balance between informative and fun. And that's what I've been perfecting that art for like 10 years at Au Chateau in Paris. And that's what I try to, transcribe in the book.
You have the book set up in several chapters. Your titles of the chapters are very clever. For instance, you start off beyond the introduction of Get a Real Job, which you basically kind of explained to us already. The Road to Pleasure and Knowledge, Secrets of the Soil. You've discussed already your passion about learning and sharing your knowledge about terroir. But Gentleman Farming, and this quote in Chapter 2. How the heck did you find this quote from Winston Churchill? I am fond of pigs. Dogs look up to us. Cats look down on us. Pigs treat us as equals. And your statement is, it's not that fancy.
It's true. It's not that fancy. I mean, the quote is really part of I think it's part of keeping things lively. I quote Rush Hour 2 in the book, but you also get quotes from Einstein. I think quotes spice up the reading and make you take a second. And so it's really, the idea, all the ways people get really worried and stressed out about wine or get really too serious. As soon as they get into it, they get really serious and almost competitive about their knowledge. And I don't love that approach.
Yes.
I really want to keep it, wine is fermented grape juice. That's what it is.
Yes.
If you want to understand anything, just go to the bottom, go to the farming, and then you go to the grapes, and then you go to how you make wine. And that's what I try to do follow the steps. But you have to start with the soil. You have to start with the farming if you want to understand anything wine, which is something that a lot of people don't do. They focus a lot on the winemaking. Do they put it in barrels or not?
Yeah.
This and that. And the winemaker is for the winemaker from there. And you're like, well, what about, how was it farmed? Oh, well, and you just skip that part, which is so central. So both parts go hand in hand, really.
Olivier, before we close here, tell listeners where they can go online to purchase a copy of Into Wine, An Invitation to Pleasure.
Probably the best place is to go on Amazon, and you just type in Into Wine, and it will pop up. Actually, I got a cool offer for your listeners.
Okay.
Until the end of the week, we run a special promotion. If you send your Amazon receipt to the email address, which is mrwinetasting@gmail.com, you get €349 worth of free gifts. So
oh my heaven!
Pretty good gift.
Mr. Wine and Mr. spelled out.
Mr. spelled out. So mrwinetasting@gmail.com. Just send out your Amazon receipt, and you get all these great gifts.
Olivier Magny, it's been our pleasure.
Thank you so very much, Lynn.
Now you can listen to Wine and Dine Radio while shopping at the grocery store or your neighborhood wine merchant. Wine and Dine Radio can be heard using your wireless internet on your cell phone. You're listening to iWineRadio. iWineRadio is a production of Food Tastes Better with Wine on the web at iWineRadio.com. Hey guys, I thank you for listening to iWineRadio, and we are still the only wine channel on iTunes Radio. If you go look under iTunes radio icon and scroll down to News and Talk Directory, and it's listed alphabetically, click on that and the stream comes up immediately. iWineRadio.com, where you can find links to individual guests. And if anyone's interested in advertising or becoming an underwriter or sponsor, please contact us at iWineRadio.com. We really, really appreciate your support. The more support we get, the more conversations I can have with fascinating people around the world, including you. If you have a story to tell that you'd like to share on iWineRadio, go to iWineRadio.com and contact us, and we'll go from there.